I'm in my garden at the moment just checking out what's on view. It's been an average sort of spring so far, not especially cold but not particularly warm either. There's been the odd warm day, but hopefully a more prolonged warm spell is on the cards. But no matter what the weather's like, I like to put out food for the birds all year round, especially now when they've started to have young to feed. One of the most numerous birds we get in the garden is the starling. It remains one of the UK's most common garden birds, but because of its decline elsewhere, it's been given a red status, believe it or not, by the RSPB. We also get lots of house sparrows. This is another common bird that's in decline. The UK population is estimated to have dropped by 71% between 1977 and 2008, and therefore has also been given a red status by the RSPB. Another welcome sign of spring is frog spawn in the pond. I've caught the odd glimpse of frogs, but nothing like last year, when they quite happily sit on the edge of the pond, and this could be the reason. A neighbour's cat, which spends more time in our garden than its own, and will quite brazenly sit on the edge of the pond, peering down into the water, but beats a hasty retreat on the appearance of our two dogs, Lady and Molly. There's also been a lot of blackbird activity in the garden. This hen bird is a regular visitor. She has a dark beak like the Scandinavian variety, but there is a hint of yellow on the beak, so I think she's a first year female, and over the last few days she's been showing a lot of interest in this hedge, and I've enjoyed watching her busily gather nest material. Hedges are the most common places for blackbirds to build nests, and it's the hen bird that does all the building. They'll use a mixture of grass, straw and small twigs to build the nest, and then it's plastered inside with mud and then lined with fine grass. Nest building can take up to 2 weeks, and sometimes the same nest will be used to rear successive broods. Blackbirds can rear 3 and sometimes even 4 broods in a season. Blackbirds will start breeding in early March depending on the weather, and the season will last through to late July. Blackbirds living in gardens will start breeding around 2 weeks earlier than their woodland relatives. Well, I watched this young hen blackbird busily gather nest material for around about 3 days in early April. Then she disappeared for 2 or 3 days and then returned, but sadly hasn't continued building the nest. But while I was doing a little bit of gardening, I located another nest in a hedge on the opposite side of the garden, and the birds are sitting. So while the birds are off the nest, I've set up a small remote camera and wired it back to a monitor in the house. Well, I've just seen the hen bird fly back in. Just switch on the camera, and there she is, sitting very low. I'm not quite sure if it's eggs or chicks. Okay, this is a few hours later, the sun's out, and looks like the male's sitting, which is strange because according to the website, RSPB website, it's only the females that brood, but it certainly looks as though the male is sitting on the nest. Don't think it's perched on the edge, unless it meant that it's just the females that actually hatch the eggs. Perhaps the males help to brood the chicks. If that's the case, then it's quite possible that it is chicks in the nest, not eggs. I didn't really want to look. Oh, the male's just got off the nest, so it was sitting on the nest, and there's the female that's come back. That's definitely a different bird to the young female, and she's definitely feeding chicks there, as you can see. Blackbirds will usually lay a clutch of 3 to 5 eggs. This nest is quite deep in the hedge, and I didn't want to poke about in the hedge to try and see whether there were chicks or eggs in the nest, but that's definitely, she's probably heard something there. Sitting very tight. What an amazing sight that is. Okay, it's 3 days later now. There's nothing on the nest at the moment. And there is our first view of the young blackbirds. Until now they've been hidden deep in the nest, but they've started to grow a little bit now. And there they are. The female is feeding them at the moment. She'll be feeding them a mixture of various insects, even though it is quite early in the year. There's quite a bit of potential food around. Just saw the female remove the fecal sac there. Young blackbird's poo is contained within that membrane. I've just changed over now. Good view of the chicks there. I think the female just left the nest and the male has come back with food. It's just on the right of the nest there. Got a glimpse of him. It was obviously Oh, there you can see his beak there. Brought food back to the nest. Okay, this is the next day. And, good views of the chicks, they're growing all the time. It's just great to be able to sit here in the house and have a cup of tea or even a glass of wine and enjoy this fantastic view of this blackbird nest. The female is brooding the chicks now again. On second thoughts, I'm not quite sure if she is brooding them or just sitting on the side of the nest, because you can see the chicks just to the right of the picture there. Capes are visible. Blackbird chicks will usually take around about 14 days to fledge. I'm not quite sure how many days old these are. I'll guess around about 5 or 6. I was hoping to continue filming the blackbirds up until they fledged, but unfortunately just after this the camera gave up the ghost, and I think it got a little bit of damp in it or something, so I'm going to take it in the house and try and dry it out, do something with it. But I'm pretty happy with the footage that I've got. I'll see you next time.